And good Saturday morning. Starting off the day with light snowfall across central Indiana. We are going to break down the timing for those snow chances today, how much may accumulate, and we're also going to break down this very cold weekend forecast coming up.
A deadly overdose lands 2 people behind bars. A significant amount of drugs police found in the suspect's home, and the warning coming from officers. And Indy is celebrating big for St. Patrick's Day in the middle of March Madness weekend.
Was anything going to stop you from coming out today, though?
Nah, I'm pretty diehard.
We'll look at the St. Patrick's Day celebrations here in Indy and a recap of some of the big games that took place last night. Fox 59 Morning News at 6 starts right now.
From Indiana's #1 news source, this is Fox 59 Morning News.
6:01 on this Saturday morning. Good morning to you. A mainly cloudy and cold day, Amber is telling us. The forecast is up and down as we look ahead to this week. Let's talk about what we can expect at least for this weekend. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning. I'm Cameron Ridle in for Zach Myers.
Good morning.
Good morning, Amber.
It's awesome to work with you this morning.
It's good to work with you. I'm like, how chipper is everybody going to be at 6 o'clock?
I mean, it helps a little bit more.
Yeah, as we go on.
Yes, so just have some coffee, some caffeine.
Some.
I haven't made my first cup yet, so.
I haven't started drinking it yet. So.
Oh, okay, so we're on the same boat here.
We're in this together.
Yes, we are. We are tracking light snow this morning. Also, it's going to be cold today. Highs are going to stay below 30 degrees.
If we could pick a season, that would be great.
Let's pick spring.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because we officially kick off the season on Monday, rather. We have a look at Live Guardian radar where we have light snowfall across parts of north central Indiana throughout Tipton County and Noblesville and within the Lebanon area, so within Boone County, with a steadier band of snow now on the north side of town on 465 in the northwest corner. And we have the light snow showers too over west central Indiana. It's scattered within Putnam County, and we're also seeing a heavier band of snow just northeast of Spencer, so that's closer to the Gosport area at this time. This wave is going to continue to push off to the east, and this is when we're going to see the most amount of snowfall once this activity pushes away from central Indiana, likely by the middle part of the morning. That's when we are going to be left with mainly cloudy skies, also windy conditions. Winds are going to be out of the northwest, and that's going to keep temperatures on the colder side for today. We are currently in the 20s right now, southwest wind at 11 miles per hour. Temperatures are not going to go up much more from here. It's 26 in Columbus, 27 Bloomington, and the temperature out the door in Bedford, 25 degrees. I am tracking a chilly weekend, and milder weather conditions are going to return next week, breaking down those temperature trends in my forecast. Cameron?
All right, Amber, thank you. A 21 and 22-year-old are facing several charges after an overdose death in Kokomo. If convicted, they could face up to 40 years in prison. Fox 59's Hannah Folman joins me live in the studio this morning to explain what led up to these arrests. Hannah.
A 27-year-old Indiana woman is dead after a fentanyl overdose at a Kokomo apartment last weekend. Now, according to court documents, this all began through a drug deal message exchanged on social media. The victim and one suspect, 21-year-old Emily Rouse, you see her on your screen now, sent Instagram messages back and forth starting on Friday, March 10th. The next day, officers responded to the Pine Valley apartment complex. That's where they found a man performing CPR on the unresponsive 27-year-old who ultimately died. Rouse reportedly sold the deceased 5 fentanyl tablets the night she overdosed. Court documents reveal that Rouse was facilitating the drug deal for her boyfriend, Deshaun Brown. Brown was already in Howard County Jail on gun charges. Police found more than 600 fentanyl pills, a pound of marijuana, and a handgun in Rouse's Baxter Road apartment.
Anytime we're dealing with fentanyl, we have to be very careful because it takes such a small amount that can cause an overdose. In terms of the over 600 pills that were seized, I will say that in my experience, that is a significant amount for this city.
Of the victim has not yet been released. Rouse and Brown face charges with dealing a controlled substance causing death, along with additional drug-related charges. If convicted, they could face between 20 and 40 years in prison. Reporting in the studio, Hannah Fullman, Fox 59 News.
Hannah, thank you. Right now, a former Avon youth football coach and substitute teacher is accused of molesting and taking nude pictures of one of his players. 18-year-old Matthew Duran was arrested this week and charged with child molesting, seduction, and exploitation. The investigation started in February when the victim's parents at Avon called Avon Intermediate School West. They said Duran, who was a substitute teacher at the time, was sending inappropriate text messages to their 11-year-old son. Court documents say Duran sent the child messages via Facebook, Snapchat, and Fortnite. Police also say they found several nude images of that young boy that Duran took on FaceTime. During an interview, the boy repeatedly told police Duran also molested him.
Good boundaries are really important, not putting yourself or your children in situations where they are alone with an adult.
Avon Schools said Duran was fired after the boy's parents complained. Court documents say he was also dismissed from his coaching position. The Avon Junior Athletic Association sent us a statement saying in part, leadership removed him from his position after some parents raised concerns that he may have been contacting younger athletes. The statement went on to say they're investigating the matter. A bipartisan bill at the State House could close a loophole in Indiana's child seduction law if it passes. It's a charge applied in crimes when an adult in a position of authority or trust engages in a sexual act with a child under the age of 18. Right now, the law only includes youth sports coaches employed by a school. The proposed change would ensure any coach can be charged. This week, the bill passed in the House and is now headed to the Senate floor. Right at 6:07, and now police are asking for your help with an unsolved murder on Indy's near northwest side. Yesterday, police released surveillance video that they hope leads to an arrest. Police believe this man, wearing a red mask and pajama pants, shot two men sitting in a car in last April. It happened in the parking lot of a food mart near 30th and Kessler. One of the victims survived. The second victim, Kennell Thompson, died.
This is one of those particular cases that kind of bothers us all. We need help. Nobody deserves this kind of treatment, and it's a tragedy. We don't want loss of life, period.
Anyone with information on the suspect in the surveillance picture you see right there on your screen can still contact either IMPD's homicide office or Crime Stoppers. Next month, a man accused of killing an IMPD officer could learn if he'll still face the death penalty if convicted. Elias Dorsey had a pretrial conference this week. He's charged in the death of Officer Breanne Leith. Officer Leith was shot while responding to a domestic violence call in April of 2020. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty against Dorsey, but his defense team argues it should be eliminated as an option. That's because he didn't know, they say, that Leith was an officer when he fired the shots. Yesterday, a judge gave lawyers a deadline for the end of the month to supply evidence and arguments related to this motion. We'll keep you updated on what happens next. New this morning in sports news, we start with a massive upset in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. The number 1 seeded Purdue Boilermakers lost in the first round to 16 seed Fairleigh Dickinson. The final score was 63-58. Our sports team will have reaction coming up from the game later in your morning sports report. Meantime, there is good news for the Hoosiers. IU won in the first round of the game against Kent State. IU is a number 4 seed, I should say, while the Golden Flashes are a 13 seed. Kent State is this year's Mid-American Conference Tournament champion. The game was played in Albany, New York. The final score there, 71-60. Last night, our Dave Griffiths was there to witness the Hoosiers take that win. He shares highlights and reaction from the team.
In the NCAA tournament, you want your seniors to lead the way. Indiana got that and so much more from the duo of Trayce Jackson-Davis and Race Thompson. Those two combined for 44 points and 20 rebounds in the Cream and Crimson's NCAA opening victory. And Jackson-Davis added a IU school record for an NCAA tournament game in 5 blocks. That senior leadership is something they talked about pregame.
we looked at each other and we said that this ain't the last time we're doing this. And I think that I came out and I got a couple easy buckets and that started us off a little bit. And then towards the end of the game, we had our closer and Trace, and he finished out the game for us.
It's huge for your upperclassmen to play well, because then the lowerclassmen see that and they want to chip in and they want to do things, stuff of that nature. And so I think that we led by example, and I think the underclassmen, everyone played well.
Just to have their confidence at an all-time high right now is really huge for us, because they really picked up the slack on the offensive end and got us going.
Next order of business for the Hoosiers last night, or this morning I should say, was to get a little rest. Sleep will be helpful when they have another game coming up tomorrow against Miami in the round of 32. Reporting with IU in Albany, I'm Dave Griffiths.
All right, Dave, thank you. Coming up in 30 minutes, our Alexa Ross will have more coverage on our sports across the Hoosier State. Meantime, coming up after the break, we'll have the latest on former President Donald Trump. Officials say he could be indicted next week. More on the security measures some law enforcement agencies could take in New York. Amber.
And I am tracking light snowfall this morning, and within some of the heavier bands that are setting up, and they are quite isolated, we could have a little bit of sticking snow, and we're seeing that here on the northwest side of 465 and 865 with a heavier band that just traveled over the area. So be prepared for potentially a few slick spots out there this morning. I'm going to have the timing for those snow showers in my forecast.
.13 on a Saturday morning, and happening now, a major legal ruling in New York this week. A judge ordered the attorney for former President Donald Trump to provide testimony. It is in the investigation into Trump's handling of classified documents. Attorney Evan Cochran has the potential to be a key witness. That's for the special counsel's investigation into whether Trump obstructed justice. The judge said prosecutors met the threshold that a crime may have been committed. That's just to get the lawyer's testimony. Meanwhile, law enforcement in New York is reportedly preparing security measures. That's if the former president gets indicted in the Stormy Daniels hush money case. Officials say conversations are still in the preliminary stages, and the focus right now is on security at the courthouse. The International Criminal Court, or ICC, is issuing an arrest warrant against Russian President Vladimir Putin. He's accused of war crimes pertaining to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The warrant says he's suspected of unlawful deportation of children and unlawful transfer of people from Ukraine to Russia. A Kremlin spokesperson called the court's move outrageous and unacceptable. Meanwhile, a possible trial of any Russians at the ICC remains a long shot. Moscow does not recognize the court's jurisdiction and does not extradite its nationals. Closer to the state, the EPA says the cleanup from the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, is expected to take 3 months. All 1,900 feet of the south tracks were removed from the site. More than 6 million gallons of liquid waste and 5,400 tons of solid waste were also removed and then shipped to certified facilities around the country.
We still have a long, long way to go, as you can see by the pile and the piles, but we're getting the speed up, and that's something that's very, very important, I know, to the community.
The EPA ordered states to stop blocking shipments of the waste as of yesterday. That's because these facilities handle shipments like this every single day. Meantime, we do know some of that soil is coming back to Indiana. Shipments are resuming here this week after being stalled while that soil was tested. Shipments are going to the Heritage Environmental Services landfill. That's in Putnam County. We told you Governor Eric Holcomb ordered third-party testing of the soil. It found no harmful levels of dioxins. Officials say more testing will be done on any incoming loads in the future. Coming up at 6:16, if you missed this, we were in the spirit here at Fox 59 for St. Patrick's Day. You might have seen it live right here on the morning show yesterday. The Gordon Pipers Bagpipe Band joined us live on the Fox 59 Morning News. They've been around since 1962, and they perform every year at the Indy 500. This year marks their 60th anniversary of doing it. Despite the cold temperatures and even some occasional snow flurries, thousands still brave the elements for the St. Patrick's Day festivities. The fun started early, with some bars opening at 9 a.m. Nine Irish Brothers was full before noon, with people huddled for warmth, waiting to get inside. The owner says he expected the cold to have at least some impact on the crowds, but that was not the case.
You kind of see it. It's busy. It's fun. It's definitely a good time of year, and we look forward to it every year, but it makes for quite a busy day.
The festivities continue throughout the weekend at bars and restaurants across central Indiana. Amber, were you here when the bagpipers came in yesterday?
I actually was off yesterday, but I have been here in years past when they've come in. Yeah.
I was way over that way at my desk, and I never saw them come in the building. Just, it's very quiet in this building. And then all of a sudden, when a bagpipe band goes off, it's, what is that? And then I look up at the TV, it's like, oh my God, when did that happen?
It takes your breath away when you don't hear it, and it is a surprise. So
it's very quiet in here. So to go from quiet to a band with no warning, it is startling.
Well, that's just, there's more to come in the years that you're here. So,
It was a good show, though. It caught my attention.
Yes.
It was hard to miss.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. The weather was not fun yesterday, though.
No, I know, because I was outside in it.
It's not going to be fun. Oh, of course.
Yes.
I feel like you're always outside in the morning. So we have more of that winter feel for today. Actually, highs are going to struggle to exceed 30 degrees this afternoon. And we are tracking light snow, but it is enough to create some slick road conditions. And this is exactly what we are seeing on the northwest side of town with this NDOT camera at 465 at 865, that northwest corner, with a snow band that just moved over the area. You could see that light snow did accumulate on the roadways. So anticipate potentially some slick road conditions this morning. There's going to be very little to no accumulation, but enough to create slick surfaces, and likely going to stay below that half-inch mark. That's just something to be mindful of as this wave of light snow does travel over central Indiana. We have light to moderate snow bands developing over north central Indiana, seeing that in Marion, Alexandria, where we have a darker shade of blue, likely going to have lower visibility in those darker shades that we are seeing through Lebanon. Also Whitestown, Zionsville picking up on light snow too. And we also have some snow falling in Plainfield, Cloverdale, Martinsville, and Spencer. This wave is going to completely move out of here by the middle part of the morning. So those snow chances, they are not going to last all day, but the colder air is going to hold in place, and we're also going to have rather cloudy skies for the rest of the morning and well into the afternoon. At best, a few breaks in the clouds. 29 is our temperature right now. We also have a sustained wind out of the southwest, 16 miles per hour. This is making it feel much colder outside. Right now we have single-digit wind chills, and that is going to be the case throughout the day today. 21 degrees is our temperature in Lafayette, 28 Shelbyville. It is 27 degrees in Muncie. Feels like 9 degrees though to the north and west, with our wind chill down to 17 degrees in Indianapolis. It is going to stay windy throughout the day, potentially having wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour well into the afternoon. And notice that temperatures are going to have a hard time climbing because of that strong northerly wind flow that's going to be over the area for today. 29 is our high temperature. We will have snow showers in the morning. Should be closer to 53 for this time of year. Definitely going to feel more like winter for the final weekend of the season. Winds will be sustained out of the west, 15 to 20 miles per hour. And again, those gusts up to 30 miles per hour going to be a possibility. And that's going to create wind chill factors in the teens and also single digits well into the afternoon hours. Now this evening, bundle up. We will have an overcast sky, 25 degrees at 8 o'clock this evening, dropping to 24 at 10 p.m. Our low temperature tonight is going to be 19 degrees. We will continue to have breezy conditions overnight and into tomorrow. 39 is going to be the high temperature for tomorrow, and that's going to be an improvement compared to what we have for today. At least we will have mostly sunny skies, a few clouds possible early on in the day, with decreasing cloud cover by midday and into the afternoon as higher pressure does build into central Indiana. We also have milder air that is on the way. We will eventually have high temperatures near seasonal levels again as we kick off the new season. 50 for the high temperature on Monday with a partly cloudy sky. By Tuesday, 55 is going to be the high temperature. Chance for showers very late, and then the soggier pattern does set up during the second half of the week. We could even have a few thunderstorms around on Thursday, high near 66, back into the upper 50s on Friday. Cameron?
Amber, thank you. Still ahead, it's a new edition of Scott's Home Zone. If you have an unfinished basement where you can still see all of the pipes and plumbing, well, Scott says you can cover it up with a typical drop ceiling made out of these tiles. He'll show you how to make your own drop ceiling that's unique and, most importantly, inexpensive. It's coming up. 6:25 now, and we're checking in with our very own Scott Jones. Not long ago, he demonstrated pocket screws and how they can be used to join pieces of wood together. Well, you can make things like cabinet shelves or frames. He even made these frames with pocket screws, then stapled the fabric on the back of them. But why would someone do all of that, you might ask? Well, it's so he could create his own drop ceiling for half the price of a store-bought one. Sarah, who you see standing there, also helped Scott put the project together. So let's see how they did it.
This is the area of my basement where the HVAC, the pipes, and plumbing run. That's back when I tapped into the water line and it got all over my face. Really? In case anything ever needed to be fixed, I decided not to drywall the ceiling. Instead, I wanted an unusual drop ceiling, easy to remove but comparatively cheap. Hence these big old frames I made that would serve as removable ceiling tiles, bigger than a person.
And here they are, 5 feet by 6 feet. They're huge. 1x4s put together by pocket screws and fabric just stapled to the back.
I came up with the panel sizes after measuring the area here and doing a little math. It's about 35 feet by 13.
So I figured I'd need something that size and 7 of them on this side and then 7 of them on this side, and that would leave me with about a 1.5 foot gap for lights.
Most drop ceilings use wire and a grid, but I wanted no grid and an easy way to take them on and off and adjust for level. If you already have a drop ceiling you want to change, you can skip the next step and save some money because you already have that L-shaped wall support that runs around the perimeter. If not, buy it and screw those pieces in all the way around, making sure they're level.
All right, on the opposite end of the wall side where it's supposedly going to be held in by the L brackets, I then put in these hooks. They look just like that, and you can pre-drill a little hole and then screw them in. And there's one also on the opposite side over there, and there's one right here. And I put that in so you can move these big old things by yourself.
Now to the hardware to connect the fabric panels to the ceiling. From top down, I use lag screws that go into the ceiling, a connecting clip, then an adjustable turnbuckle. It attaches to the hook that screws into the fabric panels. Next step, attach cheap boards on the joist from one end of the ceiling to the other right above the hooks. That way you can install the lag screws anywhere you need. I also put another board above that center hook. And notice here, I test installed all the frames before there was fabric. Once properly spaced and aligned, then I stapled on the fabric. That way there was less chance of damage.
Incredible strength. It weighs 8 pounds.
To install, I stood on a bench and walked the frame into the L bracket channel, walked back and clipped on that center hook. That's why I installed it, so I could do it by myself. If clipping on the sides first, it would tip. Next, put in a screw or two through the bracket channel to hold the frames on that end. Then clip on both sides and adjust height for level if needed. By the way, there's a planned 4-inch gap between the frames. To cover that, I'd cut about 8-inch strips off of a black vinyl roll and staple them on one side of the frame. The vinyl is fairly stiff, so it just rests on top of the adjacent frame. That way you don't see the ceiling, and you can always get your hand up in there to remove or adjust. And with that, 600 square feet of ceiling covered for about $2,000 in material. To buy a nice drop ceiling, it would have been at least double that.
All right, good little party spot. People always ask, do you guys have parties over at Scott's? If they do, I've never been invited. I have to talk to Scott about that, but it looks like a good spot. This drop ceiling and the story and the previous pocket screw story is on FOX59.com. That way you can see how to build the fabric frames yourself. If you missed it, go to our website, click on Morning News, and look for the Home Zone tab. It has all of the other projects there as well. And if you've done a project we can air, contact Scotty J. His email is sjones@fox59.com. 6:29 coming up in the next half hour. Residents at a senior living facility in Zionsville are told they've got to move out. What has tenants scrambling to find a new place to stay? Welcome back. We're taking a live look over downtown Indy this morning. It will be a chilly weekend as we look ahead to the final forecast for the winter season. Amber Hardwick joins me now this morning as we get ready to switch from winter to spring.
In theory, yes.
In theory. What's the word? Meteorological spring?
Meteorological spring was the first of this month.
Okay, so then official.
This is official, yes.
So
spring.
When the alleged spring type month arrives, that's when it's meteorological.
Yes.
Okay.
So just for data records and statistical reasons, we just try to keep it to the first of the month. So March, April, May are in theory the spring months. It doesn't feel very spring-like though.
This will be a question on Jeopardy, so write that down.
Yes. And I just gave you that, $500 answer there. All right.
We'll take a cut of that too.
Yes. So this morning we are tracking that light snow, but it is heavier in some spots and that could quickly accumulate on the roads. And we're seeing that in a few spots here where we have the darker shades of blue northeast of Tipton to southern Marion or just south of Marion. That's a heavier band that is setting up there. And we're also seeing that north of Greencastle through northwestern Hendricks County, just south of Lebanon now and through Hamilton County. So getting closer to the Carmel and Westfield area at this time. And then we also have the snow showers scattered within Marion County. We're seeing more of that snow in Bloomington, Martinsville, and Spencer. We're not going to see a lot of snow, but it is enough to create some headaches on the roads potentially. Some slick spots are going to be possible within the next couple of hours, mainly on untreated surfaces. And then if you find yourself in one of those heavier bands, the visibility may also quickly drop. So you will want to be careful of that. Most of the snowfall is going to move out by the middle part of the morning, and then we should be left with mainly cloudy skies for the rest of the day. It's also going to stay cold. Temperatures are going to hover in the 20s, and with the strong winds that are going to be in place, it's going to feel even colder outside. And we're talking about wind chill values potentially in the single digits well into the afternoon. Wind speeds are already ramping up this morning. More at 28 degrees in Spencer, 25 in Connorsville, and 28 degrees your temperature in Shelbyville. Staying chilly throughout the weekend for the final weekend of winter. I am tracking milder weather into the next work week, so we'll have the latest on how much temperatures rise again in my forecast.
All right, Amber, thank you. A carjacking leads to a chase and a crash on the north side. Police say they're still looking for the passenger involved. Lawrence police tell us someone reported a carjacking yesterday morning on East 56th Street. Officers then spotted the vehicle on Pendleton Pike and tried to stop it, but the driver kept on going. Police ended up pursuing that vehicle for about 10 miles before the driver crashed. That was at 75th and Keystone. Police caught up to the driver, but they say the passenger got away. In a separate incident, one person was taken to the hospital after their vehicle ended up in a pond in Lebanon. It happened around 4 o'clock yesterday in front of the Liberty Dialysis Building on North Lebanon Street, When police got there, officers say the vehicle was partially submerged with the driver still inside. Thankfully, firefighters were able to pull that person out. They say they were taken to St. Vincent Hospital in Indianapolis. There's been no update yet on their condition. A 27-year-old Indiana woman is dead after a fentanyl overdose from last weekend. Now 2 people are behind bars. Fox 59's Hannah Folman joins me live in studio this morning to explain what led to that fatal overdose.
A 21 and 22-year-old are now facing several charges after an overdose death in Kokomo. And according to court documents, this all began through a series of messages exchanged on social media. The victim and one suspect, 21-year-old Emily Rouse, sent Instagram messages back and forth starting on Friday, March 10th. The next day, officers responded to the Pine Valley apartment complex. That's where they found a man performing CPR on the unresponsive 27-year-old who ultimately died. Rouse reportedly sold the deceased 5 fentanyl tablets the night she overdosed. Court documents reveal that Rouse was facilitating the drug deal for her boyfriend, Deshaun Brown. Brown was already in the Howard County Jail on gun charges. Police found more than 600 fentanyl pills, more than a pound of marijuana, and a handgun in Rouse's Baxter Road apartment. Police are now warning everyone to take extra caution so situations like this one is not repeated.
Absolutely do not trust anything that's not coming out of the package, whether it be from something prescription from a pharmacy that's specifically for you personally, or something that has been bought over the counter from a pharmacy or a reputable store. Do not accept anything from anybody who you even consider to be a friend.
The identity of the victim has not yet been released. Rouse and Brown face charges with dealing a controlled substance causing death, along with additional drug-related charges. If convicted, they could face between 20 and 40 years in prison. For now, reporting in the studio, Hannah Fullman, Fox 59 News.
Hannah, thank you. Change is happening at the Monroe County Jail. The Sheriff's Office posted new pictures of its mental health dormitory, intake rooms, and other parts of the building. It comes as the office works on restoration and sanitation of the jail. Back in January, we showed you what new Sheriff Ruben Marte described as inhumane conditions at the jail. He found cells without working toilets, dirty floors, and a foul odor.
I am not going to point fingers. I'm just not going to go down that path. But what I can tell you is I'm here now. We're working to get it fixed.
Well, since then, they've been making changes to provide a clean and sanitary as well as safe place for the people at the jail. In the post, the Sheriff's Office said they can now sanitize the areas often and continue addressing security concerns. In Zionsville, people at a senior living facility are now forced to find a new place to stay. Crawford Manor residents were notified that they have until next February of next year to move out of their federally subsidized low-income apartments. The building has 100 units. One woman told us she's not wasting any time. She's moving next Saturday and says she's one of the lucky ones, as low-cost apartments are hard to find.
Where I'm moving to, they said they had 30 people from Crawford Manor on their wait list. And, you know, people have to move out before somebody can move in.
Crawford Manor is owned by the faith-based nonprofit Baptist Homes of Indiana. The vice president of operations says they are helping residents to find new places to live. Once it's empty, the plan is to tear down that building. Well, it was a big night across the board for basketball fans, and it's St. Patrick's Day as well. Big parties happening across the Circle City. Purdue and IU fans flooded downtown last night as the fun of mix over the celebrations is just far from over. The weekend is just getting started. Fox 59's Michael Van Scoik was downtown last night as the crowds were growing all night long.
Whether dressed in green or gold, gold or black, or cream and crimson, the festivities have been rolling all day long.
I want Indiana to go to the Final Four. It's been a long time.
Fans and their families are all craving the same thing, a good ball game.
Rolling into the spring break weekend and just not it's the best time to be able to hang out with the family, enjoy some good food, watch some good basketball on the screen, and just looking forward to a Purdue win tonight.
While many are laser focused on the big screen, it's still a fun time for the little ones a bit more focused on the screen at the tips of their fingers.
This space allows for you to eat, to hang out, to talk, to even play Pokemon.
And it's a weekend of booming business, especially inside the garage.
This is one of our biggest weekends of the year, so all the businesses in here obviously selling food and drinks. This is a huge weekend for them.
And as basketball and St. Patrick's Day collide as the weekend goes on, some will mostly keep their eye on the ball.
I might be past the St. Patty's Day fun at this point in my life, so I'm enjoying having a seat and basketball. I leave St. Patty's Day for the professionals. I'm past. I'm retired from that world.
In downtown Indianapolis, I'm Michael Van Scoik.
The B-Ball Bash is also back at the Bottle Works District, outside and inside. It starts today at noon. It'll run until 9 o'clock tonight, both today and on Sunday. Coming up next in sports, it was a heartbreaker for the Purdue Boilermakers, as Purdue is on the wrong side of history once again. A top seed knocked off by a 16 seed. Alexa has the highlights from the game and more next in Fox 59 Morning Sports.
The luck of the Irish helped several lower seeds and upsets Friday, but last night top-seeded Purdue needed all the help they could get down the stretch. For the third consecutive year, a double-digit seed sends the Boilermakers packing. That was the look on Matt Painter's face all night long. First half, Zach Edey with the dunk puts the Boilers on top, but they actually trailed at halftime. Second half, FDU still on top. Purdue with a 10-0 run. Caleb First's layup puts the Boilers on top by 6, but the Knights refuse to go away. Sean Moore's 3 puts FDU up by 5, and Purdue could never catch up. FDU wins 63-58, and our Chris Widlick was there.
From St. Peter's last March to 16-seeded FDU, Purdue is sent home from March Madness way too early. The Knights outquicked, out-hustled, and outplayed Purdue, and a sparkling season comes to a shocking end.
I can't even explain. Every negative emotion you can think of, anger, sadness, distress, everything. I see, we know how hard we worked this year. We know how we exceed expectations all year.
So it's basketball. Things happen for a reason, and they made more shots. I mean, they're a good team. I mean, they're here for a reason as well. So it's just competitive stuff, and we got competed a little bit today.
It's hard to put my finger on it right now, but they're a good team. They came and outcompeted us today, and they won the game. So. At the end of the day, they played better than us. There's a lot of things we can go back and work on, go back and see, and let it fuel our fire for next year.
Outcompeted and outplayed. Hard words to hear coming out of that Purdue locker room, but it comes from a team that really accomplished much more than anyone anticipated. The positive, virtually everyone on the roster returns. Zach Edey's decision will make a massive difference one way or the other. With the Boilermakers in Columbus, I'm Chris Widlick.
Chris, thank you. Today is all about the IU women. Terry Morgan's top-seeded squad hosting the first round of the NCAA tournament in Assembly Hall. This season, the Hoosiers were ranked as high as 2 in the regular season and won the Big Ten for the first time in 40 years. Between that and earning the program's first ever #1 seed, recent success was all a part of the plan for Morin and company.
One of our first goals that we had for this program was, yes, there's tradition on the men's side, but we really felt confident that we could build the tradition on the women's side as well. And so our hope now is that when people speak of Indiana basketball, it's no longer exclusive just to men's basketball. And they're talking about, yes, men's basketball is, they have the banners, but there's also a women's basketball team that has been able to sustain success over the last 4 to 5 years.
Early start for the Hoosiers today. They'll tip off at Assembly Hall at 11:30 this morning. Niele Ivy's Fighting Irish hosting Southern Utah in a first-round game on Friday. Notre Dame in control of this one from the start. KK Bransford gets the wild shot to fall for the and one. Irish up by 19 points at the break. Second half, Maddie Westfeld with a basket as she's fouled. She leads Notre Dame with 20 points. The Irish roll 82-56. They'll face Mississippi State on Sunday. That's it for Morning Sports. I'm Alexa Ross.
And this morning we are tracking light snowfall across central Indiana, and temperatures are going to have a hard time climbing for today as well. We're likely going to stay in the 20s for the next several hours with that chance for snowfall for the next couple of hours. But I want to show you a look at the accumulation on the ground in Carmel. It's a very light amount of snowfall, and any accumulation, it's going to be very light and likely staying below a ½ inch for the Indianapolis area, but that is enough to create some slick road conditions. And we are seeing that at 465. This is on the northwest corner near 865, where we have a heavier band of snow traveling over that location. And notice that the visibility is dropping. And we also have some light snow that is actually sticking to the roads, and that is going to create some headaches within the next couple of hours. So you will want to be careful and perhaps even factor in a little extra time if you have plans to be out within the next couple of hours because of the potential for some slick roads, mainly on untreated surfaces. But it's a reminder that it doesn't take much snow to create some tricky travel conditions, and that's what we're going to see at least through the middle part of the morning. We have a heavier band of snow through Noblesville within Hamilton County, and this is stretching through Carmel, south of Zionsville, and this is what we are seeing on the northwest side right now with that camera shot I showed you at 465 at 865. And that too is traveling over Brownsburg, Avon, and within Putnam County with this wave traveling off to the east. We will have light snowfall until 9 o'clock this morning, at least showing up in spots around central Indiana. Once this wave moves out, skies are going to stay mainly cloudy for the rest of the day. Could have a few breaks in the clouds. Wind speeds are also going to ramp up too. We will have wind gusts potentially up to 30 miles per hour today, and that is going to keep a wind chill factor around for the next several hours too. 27 is our temperature right now. We currently have sustained winds out of the southwest at 18 miles per hour, and what we're seeing right now, it's going to be the warmest time of the day, and we will have wind chills in the single digits well into the afternoon as well. Here's a look at our temperature forecast for today, dropping back into the mid-20s by 10 o'clock this morning, and then we will hover in the mid-20s into the afternoon. Winds sustained 15 to 20 miles per hour with those gusts up to 30 miles per hour, and that's going to keep wind chills in the teens and single digits into the afternoon and evening. Dropping back into the mid-20s, or falling into the lower 20s, I should say, during the overnight, and eventually we are going to bottom out at 19 degrees. Skies are going to be partly cloudy tonight. For tomorrow, high of 39 degrees, mostly sunny skies. It's going to stay cool during the second half of the weekend, but at least we are going to have more sunshine that's on the way, decreasing cloud cover, and then milder air is on the way too as we head into the new week and as we kick off the season of spring, which officially starts on Monday. High of 50 degrees on Monday afternoon, 55 Tuesday, chance for showers, rain showers late in the day. Wednesday, scattered rainfall is likely. We'll have a high of 58 degrees, mid-60s on Thursday, dropping back into the upper 50s on Friday, and it's looking pretty soggy at the end of the week.
All right. Thank you, Amber. Still to come this morning, we'll have the latest in technology. Apple's HomePod speaker is back with a new, lower price and new features. And there's even a temperature sensor and smoke alarm alerts. But is all of this worth the price tag? We'll take a look in today's Tech Smart. New in technology, we're breaking down all of the cool things Apple's new HomePod speaker can do. But is it worth the cost? Rich DeMuro has his review in today's Tech Smart.
Apple discontinued its pricey HomePod speaker a few years back because even though it sounded good, the features didn't compare to cheaper alternatives. Well, now it's back with some new capabilities and a slightly lower price tag. Apple has changed the music world in so many ways. Their latest HomePod brings back a familiar design with some new features. The second generation HomePod has a larger touch surface, a removable cable, and Siri for voice commands. Hey Siri, what time is it in Iceland?
It's 6:18 p.m. in Reykjavik, Iceland.
HomePod comes in two colors, midnight and white, with the speakers wrapped in a mesh-like fabric. New are built-in temperature and humidity sensors. Plus, it can listen for smoke alarms and send a notification to your phone. A new smart home standard called Matter, which has Google, Amazon, and Samsung on board, is also built in, which means HomePod should eventually play nice with lots of smart home gadgets. So how does it sound? On its own, very good. But audio from the new HomePod isn't as rich as the previous model, which had 2 extra tweeters. Overall, it still sounds excellent. The key play here is how well it mixes with other Apple products. Link the HomePod to an Apple TV or create a stereo pair with instant surround sound. If you're playing audio on recent iPhones, you can hover your phone near the top of the HomePod and transfer whatever's playing to the speaker. HomePod also works as a giant speakerphone. But there's still no direct connection to Spotify. It will work, it's just not as seamless. At $300, the HomePod is pricey compared to cheaper smart speakers from Google and Amazon. But if you're all about that Apple ecosystem, HomePod is a cozy addition. Keep in mind there's also a HomePod mini speaker available for $100, and although it doesn't have the same level of room-filling sound, it's still a fantastic choice. All right, if you want to learn more, you can go to my website. It is richontech.tv. I'm Rich DeMuro, and you are Tech Smart.
All right, Rich, thank you. By the way, if you're interested in making your home a smart home, Apple's kind of the most difficult one to use. Google is the easiest. I'm in the process of that now. We will have more on what is coming up next in Tech Smart for the next week. Rich will be at the Student Television Network Conference in Long Beach, California to talk to students about how technology is changing the way we'll be gathering the news. Plus, we'll have plenty more to come up in the next hour. Fox 59 Morning News continues in just moments.
And this morning I am tracking light snowfall, and it is enough to create some slick spots on the roads, and that's what we're seeing on the spots on the interstates, at least at this time. So we'll have the latest on the conditions and what to expect the next couple of hours.